What's up, freaks? This is the Villain Tears Up, and you're listening to Uncorked with Kit.
All right, howdy everybody, it's Kit Osborne. You're listening to Uncorked with Kit. We are back, I'm excited, and I've been saying that word a shit ton. And I probably need to, grow my vocabulary, but that's okay. I am excited for this one. I was excited, this happened already. I'm not talking about the future. I had a conversation with New Fear City's Jeremiah Bruckart. He worked for the NHL. He made music videos for Metallica. And one of the things we didn't talk about that I learned later was he worked with Ozzy Osbourne. I only have the same last name, so you'd think that it would have sparked up, or it would have, he would have thought of it. But whatever, at least I know about it now, and I'm telling you about this because we don't talk about that with the Prince of fucking Darkness. But okay. Anyway, can we discuss briefly? I'm driving at the moment, and I'm passing houses. They already have the Christmas shit up. I get if you want to get it out of the way, and that's why you do it this early, because you just are like, oh God, the fucking wife, with the tears. Just fucking do it. Kid, alright, I'll just put the fucking ornaments up and she'll decorate the inside. We'll do a whole thing where we listen to music. We listen to old white people that beat the shit out of their wives and children, singing White Christmas. And we'll do it together as a family, and the kids will love it. And they now have all this extra time to think about all the stupid shit that they want, don't need, and resent me for not getting. I don't even have a family, and I'm saying all this shit, but I'm sure some people who absolutely love Christmas, and I don't not like Christmas, okay? I just want to get back to the point here. I just don't care about Christmas until the day after Thanksgiving. I feel bad for all the Black Friday workers that have to endure all the pain and suffering that they will deal with, while they are still digesting their fucking dry ass turkey. And that's fine. But can we just still enjoy the fact that Halloween was a week ago? And I love Halloween to death. And I don't understand why we need to just start putting all those decorations away. Why do we have to? Why is the Hallmark channel on? Turn it off. Put on something scary, at least until Thanksgiving. You watch that one, Peanuts, Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. You watch the Cowboys play, America's team. You eat turkey and stuffing and all that shit. And then after that's over, you have you have Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra, and everybody, all those whiteys. You put that on, and then that's Christmas, okay? It doesn't snow at all throughout the entire month. It rains, and then, right after Christmas, it's gray, and we all celebrate waiting in line in 20-degree weather to go to some club that offers like $300 a ticket for New Year's. and you're like, it makes sense because of how much we're gonna drink, and you don't drink all that much because you pregame, and then when you pregame, you fucking waste all the time and money that you had, and then you're too drunk, and then the bouncer's like, you're not dressed appropriately, and you've been waiting like 3 hours to get inside, and it sucks, and it's freezing, and everybody's cold and miserable. Everybody says, Happy New Year. I really jumped the gun here. Okay, we have plenty of time to talk about this. But right now, I just want to talk about how, the decorations now at this time of thing is just too early. That was all I was really trying to say, okay? But anyway, I'm doing well. It's almost been a year since I found out I had lupus, and, I caught it early, thank Christ, and Christmas, and right now I am feeling 100% losing my hair, it definitely psychologically screws with you, and it is now back. I have like the nicest, like, half mullet, half normal hair now. Like, I can go out without it up, I don't have to wear a hat or anything like that, and I'm pretty happy about that. Went through all the measures I need to do. I go to the gym like every day during the week. I still drink every day. I mean, come on, I'm a man. All right, I'm not perfect, and I have a lot of things going for me. All right. So anyway, that's the little update I'm gonna give you. It has been about 5 minutes, and that's all I ever want to do, just to give you a little follow up my life. I crashed my BMW, but we'll talk about that later. So anyway, here is my conversation with New Fear City's Jeremiah Bruckart. All right, you ready?
That's it.
Yeah,
You
okay, all right.
got
I'm
it.
ready to, 'cause I've actually already been drinking. So anyway,
Oh.
welcome to Uncorked with Kid. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule on a Thursday evening to talk with me about a bunch of different things. This is like I feel like this is the first time I'm doing a podcast because I haven't done it since May. And I'd like to have a good reason, but I don't. I'm just really fucking lazy.
That's fine. I mean, I'm usually on your side of things, so this is different for me too. But cheers, buddy. Can you see this? It looks like the background is eating my glass. So
Yeah.
that's cool. All right.
God, I mean, it's how ironic, because the background, which those just listening, it's the New Fear City logo.
I'll duck out of the way here.
It seems like, and your company has been fucking eating me alive with all the bullshit I have to deal with every time I'm in shitty hipster ass Brooklyn. So I want to thank.
I mean, listen, I live in Queens, so I also travel to Brooklyn. It's weird. I don't love Brooklyn. It's fine. I mean, it is what it is, but everything that I seem to do is in Brooklyn. Like 75% of the concerts I go to in Brooklyn. The office that I work at in Brooklyn. New Fear City shows.
Huge.
It is also huge. That is definitely true too. No, Brooklyn's cool. It's like everything here, it's all kind of in Philly too, right? There's so many different places. It's kind of all where you kind of fit in and find your places, and
it's like a miniature New York. It's Philadelphia.
Yeah.
It's still the same perfect grid, and then you got your hipster areas, you got your more urban areas,
sure.
And then there's Center City, which is
you got that sweet Liberty Bell.
Yeah. It's cool. I think I've walked by it when I walked by it on my way to bars, some old city, and then I think I last time I saw it was in third grade.
I went maybe 5-6 years ago. I was playing. I came down with a group of guys who played hockey at I guess Wells Fargo. All right, we played a game after the Flyers played the Oilers.
So you played the Wells Fargo Center.
Yep. So a lot of these NHL arenas will let you rent out the ice either like during the daytime before a game, or some will do it after a game. And you get a group of people, like 20 guys and a couple of goalies, and the money that you end up paying, they'll like, I think, I can't remember if we have to provide our own refs or if they, like you know, the Flyers organization has guys on tap that they bring in, but you get refs, they have like a scorekeeper, they're running like the Jumbotron.
Holy shit, that sounds
Yeah,
awesome. You feel like
it's,
like you made it.
it's super. I mean, except for looking out and seeing like four people in the crowd. So,
Yeah, and just like a sea of maroon seats or
yeah,
whatever they are.
yeah. And I've actually played at a number of different NHL stadiums. We played at MSG. We've played out
That's pretty badass.
played in Long Island out at Nassau Coliseum. We've done Barclays Center. Haven't played at the new Islanders place yet, but I've skated in Pittsburgh. And then when I worked for the NHL, one of the cool things that we got to do, especially for the outdoor games, is they would have, family skates, right? So the players would bring their families out, and then they would also let the media skate as well. So I got to skate in like Dodger Stadium. I got to skate in, is it SoFi where the Niners play? So I skated out in that place. I
Wait,
skated at,
SoFi?
or is it so? I don't know, whatever it is out there,
Raiders? No, 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 no.
wherever the Niners are playing, whatever that stadium is. So I skated there. I skated out. I skated at Yankee Stadium as well
Okay.
when they did the game there, like
The classic or whatever.
2015 or whatever it was.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty damn cool,
It's
man.
super cool. Yeah.
The only time I've ever, you know, I've when the Flyers had a playoff game and I was working for this communications firm and they were really close with Bernie Perrant, who used to, be the goalie for the Flyers, Hall of
Yeah.
Fame. And we went with him, and then like that was me at the stadium, and I'm just like, it's like I could just do or go anywhere I wanted, and I was like, this is pretty fucking cool, and then the other time was like doing extra work at Raw, where I'm like, I can just walk anywhere around the building. I was like, this is pretty damn cool. Where are the
Yeah.
Caesars locker room at, and like things like that. But it was
When I
fun.
was working for the league, I was, at all these places generally wearing a suit. So,
Yeah.
the security was super great. And, even if I wasn't wearing my badge or anything like that, I'd be like, I got to get back there for X, Y, and they're like, okay, okay. And I'm like running around.
There's this one wrestler. His name's Jay Free, and he's on the field last year when the Phillies are like after they're winning a game of the World Series, and he's on the field, and I'm like, how the hell did you get on there? And he's like, well, I have this badge because I work, I think, like I said, like one of the concessions type of
Yeah.
thing. And he just has this gift of just being able to like show urgency and get through and like go backstage on Raw when he's not doing extra work and he's just fucking doing it. And I'm just like, I like they would ask me like, do you know? And I'd be like, I'm leaving. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bother you.
The answer is always yes.
Yeah. No.
And it's the thing is, those guys, they're doing their job, right? But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I
They don't
mean,
have to do
they
they don't have
care,
to
but
be
like,
doing such a
but
good
like, if you're
job.
like, hey, I got to get back there because of X, Y, and Z, they're gonna be like, all right, cool, for the most part. And
Mhm.
it's all just about acting like you belong,
Yeah.
right? Acting like you belong there, like you have a purpose, a reason for being there,
Yeah.
and it's amazing the doors that will open for you.
Bruce Pritchard, I was listening to his podcast and he was talking about when they were some of the things that he loved filming. And it was like he loved filming different clips for Shotgun Saturday Night in New York. And he's like, there'd be like, you know, uh one of those manholes with like steam coming out of
Right.
it. And they're like, take her, get behind there and walk through it or whatever, and things like that. And then he would be like, we'd get stopped, like, we would stop traffic on a street, to film this. And then there'd be police at one point, and then it'd be like, oh, do you have a permit? And then he'd be like, yeah. And that would be it. That would be the end of it. That would be the end of the conversation. Or, they're an asshole that does their job. And,
Right.
and, and they'd be like, well, we need to see it. And he goes, oh, well, it's in Stanford. Like,
That's it. So our rule of thumb, so I used to teach film editing and production like in 15 years ago now. But the rule of thumb that back then was if you were just running around with a camera, you were generally not going to be bothered by anybody. But if you put down a tripod, then they can be like, hey, are you allowed to be here? So it's usually just like the run and guns. Not always, but like
Yeah.
more often than not, if you put a tripod down, then it starts to look like a legit production as opposed to you just out, doing
But they
whatever.
have time to ask you that you can't pull out a permit, when you have like this thing. You're like,
Yeah, you're like, oh, I'm busy right now, man. Hang on a
yeah.
second. Let me get this shot. And they're
There's
like,
that
okay, go.
there's this expression, like you can get in anywhere if you're carrying a ladder. Like,
Yeah.
like any building, like go to the Empire State Building, you have a ladder, and they're like, "What are you doing?" You're like, "Oh, I have work to be done." Like,
Yeah, you're like, oh, I know it's like a little 3-step ladder, but I got to change some light bulbs. They're low.
yeah.
They're low light bulbs. Don't worry about it.
Oh man. So what was your position when you were in the NHL?
So I was a producer. I
It
was a
sounded
producer.
the way that I just made it sound was like, what position and what team did you play for?
That's right. I was a
No.
I was a defenseman for the good team. No, I was a producer. I actually came on the summer before they hired me on full time. They brought me on actually before the summer, it was during the playoffs, and we did a show called Melrose's Place with Barry Melrose.
Okay.
And so it was a I think we did it it might have been every day, but we did it a handful of times a week. But we would, do like a video call basically with Barry. We'd have the set up for him and everything. And we would it was just like a pop culture show about the NHL playoffs at the time.
Okay.
And so it was just kind of like we just come up with just silly things for him to do just to try to, get people interested in the game. And this was like 2011.
Okay. I'm gonna have to show some clips of this because I'm
I'll,
sure
uh,
it's
I'll
all.
I'll send you some stuff. So my favorite thing that I did was I got on the phone with him and I was like, all right, Barry, so I want to do this thing. And this was the one of the first years that Nashville was doing really well. And so I don't know if you know about like what they do in Detroit, right? They throw the octopus onto the ice. You never seen that? No, no.
No.
Yeah. So it's something like if I'm remembering the story right, it goes back to like they needed 8 wins or whatever to win the Stanley Cup. And the
Okay.
octopus, right, has 8 legs. So people started throwing an octopus onto the ice. And they still do it. Yeah, they haven't done it in a while because Detroit's not been that good for the last however many years, but they were still doing it, up until pretty recently. But Nashville took that and started throwing catfish onto the ice.
Nashville, aren't they like the Predators or something like
They're the
that?
Predators, yeah.
Yeah, and
But
then Red Wings.
catfish is a big delicacy, right?
Yeah.
So I said to Barry, I said, Nashville's doing this whole catfish thing. I want to do this thing where you talk to a fish. And he was like, all right. Like he was game for it. It was awesome. And so I took video of that Billy Bass, that toy bass that you put on the wall and
Oh my God.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I voiced it and I had it basically just like talk shit to Barry Melrose. And we ended up doing it like 2 or 3 times and he got such a kick out of it. And then like the last time we did it, he just went full on just threatening the catfish. It was it was amazing. It was hysterical.
It's some gritty shit.
No,
Like,
it is. It was totally wild. And I was super thrilled that he's just like, yeah, all right, let's try it. Let's go. Let's see what we can do with this. Like he was game for all of it. And it was like he was amazing.
that's cool. You have somebody like to work with like that.
Yeah.
That, like, I mean, I'm sure, have you ever dealt with anybody that's just been like a pain in the dick? Like, just,
Always. I
yeah.
mean, the work like video production is great, right? I love it. I can't imagine doing anything else. The only thing that sucks about video production is the clients.
Yeah.
And unfortunately the clients have the money. So
Yeah. I
but
know.
that's that's pretty much like, every industry, right?
Working with the talent always sucks, dude.
Right. Awful.
But one of the talents, that like I remember one of the first time you told me about this, like you were making music videos for fucking Metallica,
Yeah.
one of the greatest rock bands of all time, and that means you have like, these one-on-ones with them nonstop, like, and I'm sure
Oh, it
Like,
was.
I've never really heard many good things about most of them personally. Any of their like fan encounters and so things like that. But um, do you have what stories you got for me for them?
I don't have a ton of stories there other than just it was intense, right? Like,
Were
uh,
they just trying to get in and out and like let's fucking get it over with?
so I didn't end up doing any of the shoots. I all I did was edit the videos, but I worked
Yeah.
with the guys that did shoot it.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I got into that was it was one of the guys, uh, he and his partner that he went to college with, they did photography,
Okay.
and I can't remember exactly how he met Lars, but he met Lars and was, they became friends. Lars invited him to his wedding, and they did this
That's not
thing,
just
right?
meeting.
I know,
You
right?
said being friends, like, you know.
Yeah, no, they're friends, whatever. All that stuff. But so they did this. The wedding gift was he took a photo of Lars and a photo of, his fiance, now wife, and superimposed them over top of each other. And Lars looked at that and he's like, "This is awesome. This would make a really cool album cover." And so that's how the cover for Hardwired Self Destruct came about. So
Okay.
they, when they were figuring out the ideas for it, he came to my buddy and he said, "Hey, I want you to superimpose all of our faces over each other, and I want you to pitch that for the album cover." And so they did, and Metallica ended up voting on it and accepting it, and that became the album cover. And then they came back to us and said, or came back to him and said, "So we want to do, for one of the music videos, for Now That We're Dead, we want to do that same effect for the video." And
Okay.
so they shot the band playing, and then they also shot, um, them, various poses just like their heads, and then ran a projector and superimposed images of the other band members over top of their faces.
Wow.
And so we did that, and then they came back and they said, "Hey, would you guys like to do a couple others?" And we're like, "Sure." Because this was actually like this was a brilliant idea. This was at the time that YouTube plays were finally starting to get counted like radio plays, things like that as far as, monetization goes. So Lars came up with the idea to do a video for every song on the album.
That's
And so
fucking
we ended up doing videos for three of the songs. We did that one, right? So we did Now That We're Dead, we did Halo on Fire, and Am I Savage were the three that we did.
and then I remember because you've sent me the videos, I watched them, and then like just seeing like your name right there planted, 2 million views, and it's got your name like right there. It's
Crazy.
puts you right on the map. It's like that's a
It's
resume, right?
it's
Right there.
absolutely, and you look at the other crazy thing too is you look at the number of people that have done videos for Metallica over the years, and they haven't done a ton of videos, but the names on that list are you're just looking at like high end crazy directors and high end Hollywood people, and it's like wow,
Yeah.
I got
I,
some crazy company there.
like I mean Metallica
Yeah,
is it, it's what do you got? You have Metallica, you have like Ozzy, like everybody, the household names,
yeah.
and you're making music videos for them. I mean, that's a crazy opportunity to get.
I mean, the coolest thing out of all of that though was after we got all the videos done, they were about to go on tour, and they hit us up and said, "Hey, can you guys take the Halo on Fire video, cut the band out, and just do all story?" And we're like, "Yeah, it should be pretty easy. Like, what are you looking for that?" And they said, "Oh, we want to play it on stage behind us when we play the song live."
That's smart.
And so, a handful of their songs they do that with. But, standing, I saw them in Giant Stadium on that tour. And, that thing pops up behind him, and, you're looking around going, "I did that. Yeah, I did that. That was me. I made this thing." It was impossible not to just like completely lose your shit and geek out about it.
Yeah,
You're like,
dude, that's fun because when you first told me about this, we're at the bar, and you just said it so fucking nonchalant. So like, like you said it in like not a big deal, and I like lost my mind. I'm like, what the fuck did you just tell me? Whereas like in my head, I'm like, so if you could be the way that you just said, or you're like that nonchalant type of thing. And I was like, and both of my responses would have been like, what a dick.
That's the thing though, right? Like it's so weird because you know,
What you haven't?
well, no, it's not even that. But have you? No. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like,
Which is White Snake. I've edited for them.
that's fine. You know, everybody loves White Snake. Uh, but it's one of those things where it's like it's just your life, right? Like, you
Yeah.
know, you've wrestled in some like crazy places and you've wrestled some like super huge people. And it's one of those things where you're like, yeah, I mean, I did it. And like, yeah, it was exciting and I'm proud of it, but also like this is just it's
Yeah.
weird to think about, right? Like it's sort of like it's like a weird humble thing because like you can't get too excited about it
You're like
some
not
ways.
internally, you're like not allowed. And it's like
Yeah,
in wrestling, it used to be like, you know, shit, hey, Sabu's here. I'm like, I watched Sabu when I was fucking 6, and I thought he was insane. I thought he was cool as shit, Rob
yeah,
Van Dam. And then you walk by them, and then you're in the same locker room as them, and then you're just supposed to be like, you're supposed to be like, hey, how are you? Kid, whatever.
yeah,
And in your head is like, I want to get a fucking picture with
yeah.
this,
You're like, let me be
you
that
don't
guy.
and you don't. And then now I think things are a little bit different. It's like never don't get the picture,
Right.
because like wrestling's gonna end one day, your body's gonna break down,
Sure.
and then you're gonna have to be something else. But that's always a thing. But it's also at the same time you're like, I want to tell people I was on Raw or whatever,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did this, or like like, hey, I got signed by this company or whatever. um there's this wrestler. He doesn't wrestle anymore, but I did see him not too long ago. Randomly at a Phillies game. But David Starr,
Sure.
if you remember that name.
I do.
Um, he had said this one thing this one time that I always took home literally, because when I would have a show and let's say I did something really cool, I don't know, like whatever. I wrestled in front of like 8,000 people, and then I did this spot, and it was cool, and like the crowd went nuts or cheering my name, whatever. Or in my case, like they fucking wanted to go through the guardrail and they
Sure.
couldn't. Uh, and then you go home, you hang out with your friends from home that know you as like my real name, and then and they're just like they're just watching something, and then I go in there, the adrenaline's still up. I'm like, dude, guys, I fucking just did this, say this, and they're like, oh, nice. Hey, we're playing Call of Duty, and
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, that's cool, and then like, they don't like they care, but they're like, calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
Like,
They're like, listen, you don't have to like. We know you're cool, bro. Like,
yeah,
just sit down,
and
play
it's
the
like
game. Like,
you're not like trying to brag, you're like excited, but they
right.
bring you down
Yeah.
to that level of like where, yeah, I mean, at the same time, it's like, what's the difference between this and then my friend, like, I don't know, uh I'm trying to think of like the equivalent of like uh something in finance where
They just close some mega
they
major
close like a
deal or
loan for
whatever.
like
Yeah.
$8 million or whatever,
Yeah.
and then that means that he gets like 5% of that or something like that, and
Right.
I'm like, well, that's fucking way better than what the fuck I just
You're
did.
like, yo, when are we going to dinner, bro?
Like, my thing just took like 5 years off my life, and
Right.
you got 5% of what they
Right.
fucking spent, like. So I'm like, I would like, in hindsight, I'm like, much rather have that, but nobody's gonna brag about money. Like,
Right.
so I don't know.
Now,
I
the
mean,
only time that I ever, it's the only one of the only times, especially when I was working for the NHL, going back to that again, that I ever kind of fangirled out was I was in LA and a buddy and I we were on like paparazzi duty, right? So any of the celebrities that were coming in, because the Kings were in the finals, so of course all the celebrities came out, and so we were basically TMZing, shooting all the celebrities or running it back. They were like, oh, look at all the people coming out for the game, right? Because it's a big deal. And we saw Joshua Jackson, uh, Mighty Ducks, Pacey, this guy's a legend. And saw him just kind of hanging out, not like, not in a rush to get in, but just kind of hanging back. and we're like, oh man, it's Joshua Jackson, and like love this dude. He's awesome, fucking Mighty Ducks, right? Like quack, quack, quack. Like everybody loves him, right? Flying V, baby. Like, such an instrumental movie for a lot of, a lot of our youth. And
Yeah,
so, he
absolutely.
kind of came up, the game had started and he started to go in. And we went up and we're like, hey, listen, like we hate to bug you. We realize you're kind of trying to stay out of the, out of the loop and everything and just go watch the game. But like, do you mind taking a picture with us? He's like, no, it's cool, man. He's like, absolutely, I'll totally
That's
take a
awesome.
picture with you guys. And like he was just the nicest dude ever. But again, like you don't want to bother these people. At the
Oh
same
yeah.
time, like in your head, you're like, oh my God, this dude is like, I know you.
There's good ways to like approach people and things like that. Like in that same type of thing. Like, dude, I was waiting for a train and I didn't know idea that he lives in Philadelphia. And I look at this guy when we're waiting for the same train. And this is like 2011. And I see on the back of his like windbreaker says the Food Network. And then I'm like, I'm like, this guy looks like Mark Summers. And then like an aged Mark Summers,
Sure.
And then I saw the Food Network thing on his windbreaker, and I go, what the fuck, like, and like this is, like the double there, like
Yeah.
running, like go up to him.
You're like, hey,
Well,
will
we
you
didn't
eat
run up
this?
to him. I go up to him. I go like not freak him out
Right.
while we're right there on near the track that I could at
Sure.
any moment just go wham.
Just
So I mean, there's either I approach him nicely, don't
right.
scare him, or either way, he's gonna get a picture. I'm gonna get a picture with him because he's gonna feel threatened that I might throw him
Sure.
off the fucking thing, or he's just a nice guy. But end up, just asking him, excuse me, are you Mark Summers? And he's like, yeah, I am. Like, what's your name? And I'm just like, I don't know.
True pro. That guy's a true pro,
So like
you
those
know?
weird people, those like not weird people, but like there's certain individuals that you go like, I can't lose like this. I got to take advantage of this
Yeah.
opportunity to meet, this guy. Like if I saw Kenan Thompson, I'd lose my fucking mind,
Well, that's the weird thing about New York, right? Is you see all of these people because they live here and they go
Mhm.
about their business every day, the same way you go about your business.
Yeah.
It's like you go walk through like the West Village and you're like, oh, there's Whoopi Goldberg. All right, cool. It's just one of those. It's like, wow, yeah, okay, so there's so and so, there's so and so, and
Yeah.
you're just passing all these rando people, and you're like,
It's
oh
just fun.
wow,
It's funny
okay,
how random. Like it's like somebody who lives really close to me is Wanda Sykes. And
no
like
way.
I ran into her at like an Acme, where like I had to go in and get something, and I just go like, oh hey Wanda, how are you? Like she's like, oh hey, how are you?
I mean
Like
that scene she had in Clerks 2.
yes,
It's just absolutely incredible.
I
Like,
liked
I
the
can't have the
show.
food. It's like, but I'm hungry.
I mean weird like fact, like I actually really enjoyed her show that she had
Yeah,
on
it was a really good
Fox.
show.
Was it on Fox? No.
I
I
think it
think it
was
was on Comedy Central.
Comedy Central. It was one of the two. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. But let me ask. I mean, so you worked for the NHL. I think I think that's cool. Like,
That was a dream job. I mean, I grew up playing hockey. I've been playing hockey since I
yeah,
was like 7 years old. So getting to work there, and then because they knew I was from Pittsburgh too, I got to work with the Penguins a lot or go to Pittsburgh a lot. So it was nice to I also get to see my family as well while
yeah,
I was over there too. So it was really nice, and I got to
yeah,
travel all around North America. I spent
yeah.
time in
I think that's what's pretty badass
spent a
is
ton of time in
traveling on
Canada.
somebody else's dime and
Yeah, oh, yeah,
seeing the areas that you would never want to visit on your own. Like I never would want to go to Milwaukee, but I've been there like a couple times, excuse me, for wrestling,
yeah,
and I'm just like, oh, well, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's cool that I get to leave, and these
right.
people have to stay,
No, you get the good
but
parts of it.
yeah, and then you just go, well, what am I gonna do? And then you look something up, and you're like, oh, Jeffrey Dahmer killed his first victim here at like whatever that hotel. I could go there, and then you
Check
go
that out.
and you see it, and you're
Yeah.
like, well, shit, I wouldn't have taken my family here. Like, but I'm glad I
Hey
got to
kids,
see it.
check that out.
Yeah.
There's the knife that he used.
Oh, what so from from there, what was your introduction to wrestling that you're even before, I don't know if you're doing what you're doing before New Fear City, but what was
So
your introduction to it?
the wrestling stuff, it really did kind of come about with Casanova, at least the production side of it. Um, Growing up, I was a huge wrestling fan. My dad, would always talk about going to studio wrestling shows in Pittsburgh. So when he was growing up, that's what they were, right? Studio
Yeah.
wrestling. And so we went to a bunch of shows in, various like high schools and Knights of Columbuses and things like that. Went to a lot of shows, the WWE house shows at the Civic Arena, things like that back in the day. And I wrestled in high school as well. So, um, wrestling has always been, a love of mine. And the whole New Fear City thing kind of came about as I met Nicholas actually through a Penguins meetup that he was kind of in charge of. And so he would, get people together, would go to this bar in Midtown called Foley's, which unfortunately closed during the pandemic, but it was a huge baseball bar. And, they loved us and we would, bring in a ton of people for them. And, we'd raise money for the Mario Lemieux Foundation during the playoffs too. We'd send, we'd do raffles every game and, send all that money off to the charity. And so I met him through there and, we became pretty quick friends. And, I was like, oh, you like wrestling too? Yeah, awesome. And then it's like, let's start going to wrestling shows. So we did, started going to different wrestling shows. And one of the shows that we went to was this underground, no ring death match show at the Tender Trap in Greenpoint. And the first one that we went to happened to have Zack Sabre Jr. Wrestling on it. He wrestled Chuck Taylor in the
Okay.
opening match, which was pretty wild at the time, because
Yeah.
Zack, that was the year that like those guys before, you know Zack went to Japan, and before Chuck ended up in like obviously way before the AEW stuff and all that,
Yeah.
but it's like, wow, these guys, okay, that's awesome. And then we're like, yeah, cool. And like we like deathmatch too, so like let's go check this out. And it was wild. And so we started talking to Casanova afterwards, and in true Casanova style, he's like, you know what, I like you guys. They're like, I feel like I could trust you guys. He's like, here's what I envision for this thing that I'm trying to do, or this thing that I'm doing, right? He's like, I want to
Yeah.
do, I want it to be like this and that. And we're like, oh yeah, we can help with that. And I was like, obviously like I was still doing the production stuff. And I was like, yeah, I think we can get you covered on that. So we kind of started shooting more with him. And then in like 2019, we're sitting at Lucky 13 and we're like, let's do this. Let's make this formal. Let's make this official. Let's do New Fear City. And that was kind of the start of it.
That's pretty. When did we meet? Because I feel like the first time,
I
like
I don't know.
the first time was when I was doing in 2020 when I was doing the mow your lawn match.
I feel like we met before that though.
Yeah, it's weird to even think that that's 3 years ago.
But yeah, no,
Um,
yeah,
um,
it's
but
wild
I feel like we
how that
did
time has flown.
because I the night before, we met at whatever local bar and
Oh
it
yeah,
was
when that's
yeah,
that place.
and
That place is amazing as well. Like that's everything that I want from a small town dive bar.
yeah.
Like
There's nothing better than driving like for like 2 to 3 hours and then just like, where am I meeting? Like, where am I going? Like, oh, you're going to my local bar, and I just go, fucking great. Like, yeah, like that's
yeah, let's
if
do
if the end of the like, oh hey, you're getting here, and then they just let you in to like the house, and then you're just like, yeah, you're gonna sleep here on this couch, and you're just like, okay, like I really
yeah.
need a drink, like, and I was like, this was perfect, I mean, Cass is a bitch, and he's been one for years, but like, that was
That's the
probably the
Casanova we
most
know and love.
fun I've ever had.
Oh,
And
it's
I
so much fun.
never in a million years thought that the video for the whole thing would have been done like and edited within an hour and a half of us finishing.
It was like 2 hours, but still. Yeah.
But it was just
Um,
fun, like, we're drinking with the
let's
family, and oh my god.
and that's one of the things that's kind of unique to how we shoot is it's almost it's sports centric, but also kind of documentary centric.
Hmm.
Um, we don't necessarily plan things out. That one we did for the shred shed. We definitely like planned some
Yeah.
sequences out and like this is kind of move this way, move that way.
Yeah.
But for the most part, that was pretty much like a regular no ring where we just
Oh,
kind of we're moving with you guys and just basically trying to get in the positions that
right.
we think slash know slash feel are going to be where we're going to get the best shots for these things, and we don't always get it, but for the
Yeah,
most
right. I
part,
mean,
just
and
just
then
having
those
done it for so
whole
long and working with you guys and knowing kind of what you guys do and how you move around and
yeah.
sort of how you do the moves that you do, we can figure out, okay, I need to be, just off centered on this one so I don't get totally smashed in the face with glass or,
Right.
whatever it
It's
might be.
and that's what I always like. So not even just with the shred shed, but I mean, obviously anytime in um uh when we do the no ring shows, it's like I get an idea and I want to do this thing like the pocket sand or whatever. And I'm like, I want you to duck and I want the camera to be right there. And you guys know when I'm gonna do it. And that's the thing that I don't it's still to this day, it's like I don't understand how some of these wrestlers, you know, aren't getting it. It's like, dude, it's not it's like you can let other people know. Like if you let the ref know things or
Sure.
whatever, like you talk to the ref, then the ref tells the other person, so you don't have to walk over, whisper in his ear, and then go back to position.
Right.
You do the same thing. Like, hey, this angle will be the best angle for this because there's gonna be more people this way. It's like the reason why there's a hard cam at WWE, and then in that hard cam, there's no fucking fans. Like the
Right.
fans that are there are like the fans that the wrestlers gave free tickets to,
Right.
like that's what it is. But the wild ones are back here, so you want the camera there, and it's like they still think that like whatever it is, like you're facing the crowd. It's like, all right, there's 500 people in front of you, but the camera, that's like 100,000, and you're not and you're looking right at them, and then and so I'm like, why? Which one should you be focusing on?
But
The
it's
fucking
tough.
one
I
that
mean,
has
the
100,000
no
people,
ring,
or whatever.
the no ring thing is especially tricky because you
Yeah,
have to be you have to be I'll say good enough, but I think confident enough is a better description in what you're doing. Right? You have to feel like you're gonna rock and roll and you know the moves that you're doing and you know how the impact of them and all that. And then with the no ring stuff, especially the new Fear City stuff, we throw in the mosh pit crowd, right? So not only do you have to worry about who you're working with, but now you also have to take into account, all right, so I'm going to fling this light tube or kick this garbage can or whatever.
yeah,
Is there going to be somebody that inadvertently is standing behind it? And if
exactly.
so, I need to recognize that in a split second and turn myself so that when I do kick it, it's going to go and miss that person that just happened to wander up and be standing there, with that
Right.
look on their face. Um, and then, part of the thing that makes New Fear City special too is the cameras are right in your face.
Yeah,
It's we want it, my whole idea with that is I wanted it to be, I wanted it to feel like if you're watching it back, that you're there. And that's, you see a lot of these companies that do the no rings or do, death matches and things like that. And you got a barricade set up and, um, they've got the bouncers holding the crowd back, different things like that. And, obviously we need room to work, but at the same time, you lose all that energy. And that's the thing about deathmatch that's so incredible is just the amount of energy that the fans bring to it because it's a way for them to like indulge in that bloodlust,
Right.
right? That human bloodlust that we all
Like
have.
you're a part of it.
Yeah. And these kids are like, they're not going to go out and stab somebody. Well, most of them aren't going to go out and stab, that kind of thing, right? But like seeing this happen live, it taps into that primal energy that they all have that everybody hides on a day-to-day basis because, it's polite society and you don't act like that. And especially the new Fear City stuff is we allow people to vent all of that energy and that frustration with life and everything else. And it's crazy, right? You're sitting there, you're shooting, and you've got people yelling over your shoulder, like, rip his head off, like,
Yeah.
cut his face open, like, make him bleed. And you're looking around, you're like, what is wrong with you people? Like 2 seconds ago, we were just, talking about how nice it was outside. And it's a beautiful fall day, whatever.
Yeah.
Now you're like
Like they
screaming
all
that you
just
want this dude just
collectively
eviscerated.
it's like they all just collectively did blow and
Yeah,
then and like at that the same time and then the bell rung,
yeah.
but it is they are right there in the action. And I mean, as a wrestler, the closer you are and the closer the fans are, the more adrenaline that I have. But also, like, there's no like it's like you're so close to the action that you're a little bit more snug,
Hmm.
shit connects, so and it's funny because it balances, because the more that like shit's connecting to me and it hit me in the jaw, the adrenaline I have is almost just that much higher. So
Sure.
it's like it's fine, but yeah, and then that's why it is completely different than a regular wrestling match, the regular wrestling show, because what a guardrail does that people don't even realize is it like it is the security guard that's not there.
Right.
And it is like that barrier isn't just a barrier that you don't move too close. It's like they look at it and especially now, because a lot more wrestling shows that I'm in, they don't ever have guardrails. So it's
Oh,
like
interesting.
yeah, and most of them, and I go like, what is it? It's like too much to rant. But like what that does is it's like when there's a ring, I like a guardrail because I like that separation
Yeah.
from the stage or whatever. And then, but when it's a no ring, I don't like there should be no guardrail. Like this is a bar fight. Like
Yeah.
this is a completely different style of wrestling. Like I'm not over here jumping off of a top rope to do a Rana or whatever. I'm going over there and I'm like either trying to get the fuck away from this crazy clown, or I'm trying to I'm trying, like, I'm so close to the person that hates my guts that I am hitting this person a little bit fucking harder, and then looking at them going like, keep saying what the fuck you're saying,
Yeah. Yeah.
like that
You're
type
just
of
pumping
shit.
me up.
And especially me, and like, I mean, with as like the way that I bash this Brooklyn crowd, like it's probably not the smartest thing that I do, but anything else would be fake.
Yeah.
So I say, I kind of say what I mean, and you kind of over exaggerate the things that you mean, but that, especially like the camera, like me telling you like, hey, this spot, yeah, let's just say it like this: no ring wrestling, especially with me in Brooklyn, and the way that crowd is, motivates me that it's a lot more real than what pro wrestling is.
Well, that's the crazy thing is, we get obviously, we get new fans all the time, right? As we're gaining more momentum, gaining more steam, getting more, eyeballs on the product, which is awesome. But even getting, wrestlers in for the first time, even if they're just watching, they'll come in and we'll talk to them after and they're like, I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
And that's it going back real quick to your guardrail thing. It's like going to it's like a punk rock or a hardcore show, right? And like you'll go and you'll be in this like nice tiny little venue and you're like, all right, sweet. And then you walk up and you're like, why is there a guardrail here? And the band is up on stage going, fuck's this guardrail doing here? And you're like, and everyone in the crowd's like, we don't know.
I don't know.
And it's just
I
like,
guess we should be calm, right?
yeah. And it's kind of it's a weird disconnect. But like then you go to those shows where, like St. Vitus in Brooklyn is one of these places where there is no guardrail. And the stage is about like shin height, maybe knee height, right? And the band is literally right there yelling in your face. I saw this one of my favorite bands, and it's actually one of their shirts. It's band Graf Orlok. They do what they call cinema grind. And so they were all like USC guys that according to the lore got kicked out of USC, but all of their songs are they've all got movie samples in them, and then all the songs are like all the lyrics are written either about that character or about the movie itself or whatever it is. But they're we saw them it's like maybe August or something like that, and the end of the show, the lead singer like literally crowd surfed. He like jumped up in the crowd twice. First time we just like surfed him kind of around the venue, and then the second time they literally like crowd surfed him out of the main room into the bar. And that's the kind of like that's why you go to these live events, right? To feel that energy, to have that connection, with the performers, and it's a communal experience, and that's what New Fear City ends up bringing, right? Like
I agree.
people that
And
have even people that and our crowd is weird, you know, as you know, right? It's I would say it's probably maybe 40% wrestling fans, like actual like nothing else, just like hardcore wrestling fans, like the guys that go to like all the shows no matter what and that kind of thing.
yeah,
And then there's like there's a pretty wide swath, of wrestling fans, but that's not their like biggest hobby or anything like
it's
that.
just nearby, and it's
Right. But then we also have like the weirdo Brooklyn nightlife crowd. And a lot of them are friends of ours and they're in bands that we know or things like that. But it's the difference in the crowd, the fact that we can get wrestling over with these people that aren't seeking wrestling anywhere more or less outside of the kind of stuff that we're doing is pretty, it's really rewarding. It's really cool to see, opening up this art form to a bunch of people that never, maybe, I don't want to speak for them, but wrestling gets a bad rap, amongst the sort of normal crowd people, right? They're like, oh, wrestling, right? That was like
right.
the kids, right? Like back in the day, whatever. And you're like, no, it's still going. It's actually might be more popular now than it's ever been. Like,
Yeah,
there's so many, wrestling promotions and everything else, but these people that are just looking for a good time, right? Looking for something weird, looking for something different, looking for something
right.
underground.
And it is fucking weird, dude. Like
Yeah,
if you were to ever go like it's no different than in the 80s where it was like that Hulk Hogan like wrestling and rock or whatever, and you form those two, one helps out the other and the
right.
other helps out the other or whatever, maybe one a little bit more than the other. This one with with how these shows are 3 matches, and then in between there's a band playing, and
Yeah,
then people are going to see that band, and then all of a sudden they're seeing this fucking death match, underground wrestling, fighting,
yeah,
and then they go, I'm never gonna miss this again.
yeah.
So
Right, and I got to shout out the New Fear
the other
City
thing.
girls too, the New Fear City dancers.
Yeah,
I don't think people are necessarily coming specifically for that, but that's it's a cherry on top, right?
but I
It's
think
a
it is, and
whole
I also think
entertainment
that it's an
product.
intriguing,
Yeah,
that intriguing thing, that like that icing on the cake of
yeah,
like, yeah, I want to go because I want to, I want to see them. It's like the Nitro Girls.
yeah, absolutely. No, it's a full fully realized entertainment product.
Yeah,
And
it,
that's
it is a good, it's a great like 3 hours
yeah,
that doesn't feel like a 3 hours, because it's not like a wrestling card that has 9 matches.
right.
This is a wrestling card that has three, and then there's also the a band playing, for 2 sets, and then the New First City Girls, and
Yeah.
then
And the coolest thing is too is just we get to hang out and get drunk with
yeah,
all our friends. That's that's really the coolest thing about it, right? Like, we're making some money, but mostly like this whole thing is just about, doing what we love,
It's fun, and
putting on these, having a great time. And if we weren't doing this stuff, we'd be out doing something else stupid,
oh
like,
yeah,
you
absolutely.
know,
We'd find something,
we would totally find something. But
like I'd probably be gambling,
yeah, but it's
but
cool. It's great that we can like bring all this together and we can all just like, hey, like we're gonna have a party. It's
I,
basically like,
I
hey, we're gonna have a party. Come hang out.
I think that when the most, I mean, and at least in recently, ever since like, in December of last year, like I found I had lupus, and like I caught it early. My hair was falling out, which is why I have like a mullet. Um, and
I
it's
mean, you
growing
say that, but
back.
I also have a
And
mullet,
and
and
it
that's
took off so much of like it took off so much of my, my energy in wrestling,
yeah.
and like, obviously like I get freaked the fuck out,
Oh, I'm
like,
sure. Yeah.
and everything now is normal, like, there's no muscle pain, like weird things that I never thought that were an issue, and then you start thinking about everything, and then you're like, holy shit, like, I'm not going to be able to do this forever, and things like that. And then, the one thing, was, after taking a hiatus, is that I realized, like, I love the no ring wrestling, because one of the funniest things, it's not just me going in a bar and fighting somebody. I'm doing more storytelling,
Yeah.
because we get to use, the like the cinematic effect, like, for us having you guys film me and Cruel, and Cruel is all that, like, he needs that, I mean, he is the biggest guy that I've ever, like, I'm gonna get
Huge.
to work with, and I
He's
am
he's
like,
an absolute monster in every
he
sense of it.
is, and
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna say anything about him personally, but because I think
I
it would
get
make
it.
him mad, and he's bigger than I am, so
No, no, I don't want to. I don't
it's
want.
not like me making fun of Cass,
No, I don't.
because
I
what are
don't
you
want.
gonna do
I
with
don't
that?
want
He's not gonna do
Troll's
anything.
wrath.
He's there, oh
I
shit.
absolutely know. Like the whole time was like, yes sir, no sir. Like please,
Yeah,
don't hurt me.
but but working with him, and then having you guys like filming, it's like there's so much potential, because
Yeah.
I love promos, like I love like infuriating people. I love, I used to teach, would teach these promo classes and stuff like that. Like, you teach that, like, taught editing, I would
Yeah.
teach these acting classes at one point in time, and I was doing these promo classes where, to new wrestlers, whatever, and
Yeah.
the story I told was, well, you can make a one-off like I did it with Schlack and I,
Yeah.
for the first time at H2O, but you can make anything out of nothing. Like, it could be me versus, I'm trying to think of like some goofy wrestler or whatever. Oh my god, uh why am I
But
drawing,
I
like,
mean,
me
it
doing the
doesn't even
clown?
matter who, right?
it, it
If
doesn't,
you're
but
allowed to use your creativity, you can
right,
find some little nugget of a thing,
yeah,
and you can turn that into the whole match.
I would make a I did the same promo for every class, because there would always be new people, but I never actually used this promo, and I would just say, okay, it's me versus Doink the Clown, and it's, at it it's at Cage of Death, in December or whatever, and I
Yeah.
would just say, the a Cage of Death in December 13th. I wrestled Doink the Clown, and what I have to tell you about this individual is that when I was a kid, I used to have to wait for the bus, freezing cold, or when it was humid as shit, 7 a.m., waiting for this fucking yellow, stupid ass bus to come in. And it was always fucking late. And it just got me to school. And then the only saving grace was this cat that would sit, and he would be there every time I go to the bus stop, every single fucking time. And it was there, and it was like it was waiting for me. So I made up a name. I said, this is Blue. All right. And Blue would come every day when I waited for the bus. So I don't know if it came on Saturdays or Sundays, but I wasn't there,
You
you
weren't
know?
there. Yeah.
And I would wait for, the bus. Sure as fuck, this cat would come in. And then one weird time, this cat came out, and then when the bus was coming, it just started walking in the middle of the street. And um and the bus ran it over. Yeah, it
That's
ran it over.
the story
And
took a horrible turn.
it's just, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's hard to
No,
fucking
that's wow.
tell. And
We were like up here and now
I
it's
know. And this, this cat got ran over, and it didn't die right away. And the bus driver stopped the bus, knew what he did, came out looking at it, this thing struggling, trying to crawl away, and then it died. And I still had to go to school. And the entire time I'm on this bus and I get to school was, I'm gonna fucking kill Doink the Clown, because that motherfucker is the reason why this happened. And on December 13th at Cage of Death, I'm gonna fuck him up. That,
yeah,
whatever,
no, I
that
mean,
whole lame story that you just forgot who I was wrestling.
oh, I the whole time I'm
And I'm
thinking,
telling
fucking don't. I'm like,
this fake
Doink the
story,
Clown better not be driving that school bus because
right?
now I want to fight him.
But it was just that, like, you could, like, Doink the Clown wasn't even there. He wasn't
No,
even involved,
no,
and I just made it that I, like, everybody felt this thing, and then, I jumped up, and they go, oh, motherfucker. But guess what? At the end of that promo, they're gonna fucking remember that you're
right.
wrestling Doink the Clown at Cage of Death on December 13th or whatever. I swear to God, they'll never fucking
Never
forget it,
forget it.
even if they don't go. Or they never see it. They will remember that fucking story, and they will remember December 13th and Cage of Death and Doink the Clown. Like, that would be it. And like, that would be like, one of the things in the class.
Yeah.
But the thing, anyway, the whole point, I didn't think I was going to do the whole promo, but the
That
whole
was
point
awesome.
is that what we both do
Dude,
is, like,
you're so good at
love,
promos,
we
and
love storytelling. We
that's
love
what's yeah,
storytelling, and
exactly.
this gives us that outlet, because I think that, even though maybe the majority of that crowd, we have the crowd already, but people outside of it that are watching the videos of, like, the, that you're putting together, they care about the stories.
Yeah.
They care about, like, wow, Kit and Cruel, who now, I guess, Matt Tremont all of a sudden, took my thing, but, but Kit and Cruel, what an odd fucking couple.
But so incredible. Like,
Right.
and I'm happy you brought that up because that's one thing that we talk about amongst ourselves a lot, and you've been a part of those conversations too, is how many other, indie companies, and even, you look at AEW, look at WWE, right? Look at the stories that they're trying to tell, and then you look at the stories that we're telling. Like, we're, running once a month, but the stories that we've been able to tell over like the last 2 years, even if it's just been like a one-off, like you said, have been amazing. Like,
Yeah.
we've told some incredible stories. The Tony Nese story, like, that was
Yes. Oh my
just
God. Yeah.
what what master, like, just mastery, right? And Nick Carp was a part of that too, like bringing that story in. Nicholas and myself with the shooting and everything, and Cass and Tony just, and that Tony was willing to come out and do that was just such an honor, right? To be able to work with a guy like that, and just, and that he went full in on it too,
Yeah.
and the fans just, we had, we got so many people on that. It was absolutely incredible. Like, you look at those threads, it was just people like, oh, fuck Casanova, and then other people like, nah, Tony Nese is an asshole, and it was so, like,
It was such a
people just
good idea,
hit
because,
so hard on that. It was
Cass
awesome.
getting, like,
Yeah,
like he sucked in wrestling school or whatever. He's
yeah,
like, fuck you, I'm gonna start my own thing, like that type of thing, or like their true um their true relationship and how they are is what told the story, because
yeah,
there's a little bit of realism but money will make you my best friend.
Of
Like,
course.
but
And and not to disparage any of the other companies, but it's like, cool, you've paid whatever the rate is and flown in, the hot indie wrestler of the month. And people are going to come out and see him, and your show is going to do
yeah,
well, and you're going to make money, and that's great. But like, obviously we want to have people in that, are doing well and that people are into and going to come out for. But at the end of the day, it's like we want people, we want good people that are going to come in and work with us and tell stories with us, right? People that love the business and love wrestling and love the storytelling as much as we do and want to be a part of it. And I think that's a big thing that sets us apart, is that all the people that we work with really want to be there, and not just for the money, right? Like obviously we all want to make the money and we all want to do well, and we all, we're all in this kind of thing together, right? Like you do well, we do well, we make you look good, you make us look good. It's that whole symbiotic relationship. But at the end of the day, it's, we're not doing it for the money, right? We're doing it because we love it, and because this is how we want to tell stories, and this is how we want to make art.
that is that. I mean, that's 100% the reason.
Yeah.
I think there are motivating factors that bring us together. Like, yeah, the money, which I want to get. Like, for me now, it's like, wow, when I go to New Fair City and then I wrestle, like I'm not waiting 6 weeks to get paid anymore. but
No, I mean, just listen.
besides the point. But
you know,
the money isn't the factor. Like that's just. I mean, that's nice. It pays. It pays so that at the end of the night I go home with money.
yeah.
It's not like I'm not making my a mortgage payment.
No, I mean, listen, the dream is that we will hit a point where we're all going to get rich off of this.
Right,
But in the meantime, like I said, we're like, it's crazy to think that the kind of whole idea behind all of this is that we just want to hang out with our friends, and we want to have a good time for ourselves.
yeah.
Nobody,
we
like,
also,
I don't care, like, you know obviously we want the fans to have a good time, but at the end of the day, like, we're there for ourselves and we're
yeah,
having fun.
everybody's selfish. Like, we're doing this for us.
Yeah,
Like,
right. But we're having a
it
good
gives other
time, and we're
people a
like, and we
benefit.
want to say, hey, come enjoy, come hang out and do this crazy shit that we're doing, that we're having a good time with. And
Yeah,
let's make this a whole thing, right? Like,
that's exactly. I mean, we do this. First of all, I think we all collectively, number one, we love telling stories.
that's it. Yeah.
And the other, we like having a good time and talking about the stories we just created or are about to create. The money is really what just affords us to all get together from different places.
Oh yeah.
And then the rest of it is we just all want to succeed together collectively for the same reasons. And then I think that's what creates it. And we also, like, we want New Fear City to skyrocket, just and not, and it's not, and with the people that I see on, that you guys bring in, it's not, unless it's like a one-off or whatever, it's not a sole selfish reason. It's because it's like an ECW factor.
Yeah.
It's like we want to all grow, like make the company grow, because we're all a part of it, and then obviously then when that day happens, you and Cass will be like, kid who,
Yeah. Kit the guy that's I was looking at some numbers earlier because I was trying to remember, and I feel like they've, like Cage Match. So somebody on Cage Match, this was super crazy. Like one day we were looking at it and they updated like the New Fear City Cage Match profile and put Nicholas and my name in there as like co-owners with Cass. And we're like, wow, okay, look at that. Like, we didn't do that. Like, I wonder who, like, we have no idea who did that. But
the people like Cage Match, like, they don't have, anywhere near like all the matches I've ever had, but
no,
they have matches that I forgot about, and I'm not one of those guys that like keeps a book and like, like an Ace Austin, like that motherfucker remembers every match he's ever had.
Wow.
He's no different than Adam Cole. Like Adam Cole has a book with everything, in it, and like I'm just like, you're fucking weird, dude.
So it's fun. So I was looking at some of the cage match stuff earlier, and I wanted to read these for you because it's a big
God.
thing with
So
like
you
the
want
late night
to
guys, right? Like reading the mean tweets. So I just wanted to you have 4 comments on your cage match page,
Oh Jesus.
and I wanted to bring these up and just see what you
Oh,
thought
all right.
about them.
God.
So back in 2018, somebody gave you a 9.0, Godzilla fan 16. So Kid is still new to the wrestling scene, but he's definitely made a name for himself in the death match scene. He's a really good junior weight with the great treatment he gets from CCW. I say in 2 years he'll be the main event. The only downside is depending on who he's facing, his may affect his performance. He can't blend with everyone on the roster. And then that same day, someone else wrote, Kid is not new to the scene. He's been doing this for 8 years. He's a total spot monkey and doesn't seem to be able to have a decent match by himself. I really don't think we'll see a lot of him in key matches.
Spot monkey.
They said you're a spot monkey.
Holy shit.
I
I
know.
wish I was, man. I wish I could be that. I can't remember a fucking spot.
No, I read that and I was like, interesting. Okay. Guess he's watching a different Kid Osborne.
And it's funny with the 2018 thing. I'm like, I quit in 2018.
So
I quit because Drew Gulak and Brett Lauderdale were like, you need to get out of there, man. And it was the first time I ever listened
like
to
out of
advice.
CZW or
I
out
was
of
like,
wrestling in general.
DJ is not trying to get me. He doesn't want me to succeed. The only reason I'm still there is because of like, I guess, my own little bit of talent, but it's because of the crowd or whatever. Like, why is Kid not here? And then I think Dojo Wars helped, but
Sure.
honestly, it's like I could do everything the fuck right and it would be wrong, and it would change what right is. But
Yeah.
whatever, fuck it. All right, that's 2 of them. What the
So we
fuck
got 2 more. I'm going to skip over one of them because it's going to lead me to another question I got for you. Because I queried some of
It's my show.
I know it is, and I'm turning it around on you. So I also queried some of the New Fear City faithful, right? Some of the crew, and I was like, hey, I'm going on Kid's podcast. You guys have any questions for him? So I'll rotate to those next. But so this guy in 2021 says Kid Osborne has obvious talent. His size might keep him from making it big in major U.S. promotions, but he has a lot to offer. So, that's nice. I mean, dude,
I thought I was getting all right,
you're huge. I mean, this is 2021. That was 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And so,
wait a minute. I think I looked better then.
so in 2020, somebody said, I never understood why CZW didn't capitalize on Kid Osborne. Young, charismatic, good on the mic, and good in-ring skills, really good in death matches. Then he said, I weighed a lot of him in 2020, so I think that's a typo. But because I think he has to do the right choices to have a big career, but 2020 is going to be the most important year for him. And so I follow that up with, and this is a question for myself, but let's see. What is the match that you're most proud of, and why is it the Shred Shed Challenge from 2020?
That's what you said?
That's my question.
Well, that was probably I have to say that was probably one of the most fun I've ever had. I wrestled so the first no ring match, and these are all like personal, like as in, they meant a lot because of people I was working with.
No, and that's what I was curious about.
Like
what are some of your highlights?
Some of my favorites that I think that I got to be more me, and I was more relaxed, and I was I some of them I think they were fucking bangers, but they would just happen to be with guys that aren't appreciated enough. But one was, and not that he's not appreciated enough. He's in a fucking WWE 2K23. Joe Gacy was my first no ring match, and that was for Cass. and we both only were on it because DJ Hyde was already wrestling. Was already wrestling Cass.
Sure.
And he had this fucking dumbass statement, and he said the gay F word
Right.
on the mic, and then everybody was like, Jesus Christ. And I was like, I have to fucking run in and help him. Like,
You know what my favorite part of that match was? The disco ball.
yes, I love him, and I were like super excited.
Nick and I still talk about that all the time. Like that I think that might have been
I was such a oh man, I thought it was such a good idea. I was like, Joe, let's grab the ladder and act like we're going up for a title, but it's just the disco ball, and then whatever I swing, whatever it is, and then that spot happens, and then we both get hit with it.
That was back at the tender trap. And
God.
that was where Cass was when he got the idea to do this stuff, and they were the place that let him do the early, no ring death matches, and that was pre New Fear City.
That was funny.
Yeah, that was
that was the first time I did a no ring, and Joe too. And we both were like just excited about it, just to like have fun, because we're like, oh shit, we're gonna go to New York. DJ's driving us.
Yeah.
I think we had the rep with us, Nate and Dave, and then when DJ, I'm sorry, this is terrible, but I don't give a fuck. He's been a piece of shit. He was a piece of shit to me forever.
No, that was a breaking night.
He's walking back from like a Wawa because he had to pee for like the 6th time to New York, and and somebody goes, yeah, Stockade said that DJ Hyde looked like a melted candle. And I was like,
oh, no.
And we laughed for like the rest of the trip, and he kept wondering why. So that was the worst. I feel bad, but Jesus Christ, that was like, wow.
That was a fun show. I think that might have been the first time that we met. I don't think we didn't really hang out, but
that was 2018.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was when we were like either shooting on cell phones, or I might have brought like my Canon.
Okay.
My DSLR. I might have been shooting with that at that point.
I don't think I've ever watched that match, but I know that we had a good time.
Honestly, it's I think the only footage of it, aside from like the clips and stuff that we have, I feel like there's one thing on YouTube with it, maybe.
Okay.
Like it's almost lost to time.
I'm gonna probably, after drinking a whole box of wine, I'm gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna go on YouTube and watch this. Shut up, like.
I mean, it's no, and that's the other thing too that we're trying to do is there's so much great wrestling that's going on, but like why people aren't recording it and putting it out there for people to see.
They are, but it's just like me with this podcast, man. Like, I haven't had one since May, and then it's funny that this one kid I was talking to, and by kid I mean he's like 28, and
sure. He's a kid.
And
I'm 41, so it's
he plays he plays video games, and I was just telling him like, oh yeah, like I have this podcast, but I'm being lazy. And he's like, oh, I always wanted to do like Twitch and play video games while I'm doing the thing. And he's like, but I don't know what to say during it. And I go, well, why don't you just write talking points, because you're not even interviewing anybody.
You're just talking.
Just talk about what things that are sparking your interest. Like if you're playing Spider-Man 2, that like the new game or whatever, which is what he was talking about. I have no idea. I'm like,
played the first one. First one was a lot of fun.
I used to play video games like all the time, but I was always like a sports one.
That's good, because that's actually my next question from the New Fear City faithful. But go on.
All right. And I was like, well, why don't you just talk about while you're playing Spider-Man 2. Because, by the way, like the people that are going to watch you on Twitch are also fans of Spider-Man 2.
Right.
They're not interested in you.
Yeah, exactly. They
Like
kind of
you're
don't
just
care about you. They just want to watch you play the
you're
game.
just providing them a live feed of the game that they
Yeah.
want to watch. But your content does matter. However, your opinion is probably like-minded, like your audience.
Right.
So why not put down and highlight the things that, the upcoming games that you are interested in, what DLCs that you are
Yeah.
there. Those little fucking things are what they want to hear. And they want to hear your opinion, especially if it's like-minded or if it's against what they want.
Or just
Because
talk
if it
about the
is,
game.
then all of a sudden your opinion starts to matter
Right.
because you have the same interests as them,
Sure.
me as a wrestler, I'm a wrestler and they're wrestling fans, right? My character just like as a wrestler is what they are looking at because they're forced to look at me, but my interests and how I present myself is what is going to intrigue them to like me. It's just like psychology is like you're only going
Yeah.
to pay enough attention to somebody that you're interested in. That's why when you're at school, and you'd fall asleep during science, but you'd be wide awake during English is the difference, like those are that's just how it works. But
So
but
with
so
that
it,
in
it
mind,
intrigued me
oh,
to start doing the podcast again and not treat it as a job and
right.
treat it as like, dude, I'm hanging out, I'm talking to my friend, and this guy films me, so I have to make him think that I really like him because otherwise he's going to get the bad side of me.
I mean, listen, I'll get whatever side of you looks the best because it's going to make me look good.
Yeah.
So with
I'm the
this,
talent.
with this kind of current iteration with the character, how did you come into this? Was it
Current.
like was it because especially in New Fear City, right? You're definitely like a huge heel, right? 100% heel. Um, was that like a natural thing for you, or did you just like kind of play off the crowd, or was it? Did you come in thinking like, okay, this is kind of what I want to do?
No.
Peel back the curtain a little, or was it just like a natural reaction to kind of?
Well, all right. Well, first of all, I mean, as long as I've been doing this, I mean, I hate saying it because I don't feel like I've accomplished enough, but at all. But I I mean, I read the crowd,
Sure.
I've always in New Fear all with New Fear City, it's just um I do what I'm directed to do, but I also read the crowd, and I mean, this has also started from Philly. Philly crowds, they don't want me to succeed. Like when I first started wrestling, it wasn't believable that somebody like me, who was the size of like Jordan Oliver
Hmm.
when in Jordan Oliver in 2017, same fucking size. When I started, but shorter, much, much, much shorter.
He's a tall drink of water.
It's not believable for me to give a pile driver to somebody or for my punch to hurt them,
Sure.
So a lot of my, first 5 fucking years is like me punching somebody that isn't gonna sell it. And in real life, yeah, they're bigger than I am. But I mean, I've been punched in the face by, a 4-year-old, joking around, and it fucking hurts,
Well, if they
man.
catch you
And
right, I
I've
mean
been punched
that's
in the nose and
yeah,
I cried. Like, I fucking
yeah.
cried. I'm like, holy shit, laughing, but like you're
But also, you're
crying.
like, I can't believe that just
So
hurt
I'm
so
like
bad.
this no selling shit, or like when I chop somebody and I know these little hands hurt,
Yeah,
I know that they fucking hurt you. So and I've, as a small guy, like I've worked with big guys that they just have this mentality that oh, he's small so he doesn't feel pain,
right.
and that's been my beginning career, where it's almost been like what's made me afraid of things that I can't get over. Whereas like there's been wrestlers that have grown up, or I'm sorry, they've started and they immediately were allowed to
Right.
do the things that I wasn't allowed to. And it's just, I mean, obviously they're younger. Like I'm 33, and I started when I was 18, and I mean, started wrestling, but I didn't have my first match until 2010 or 2009, whatever. But I mean, like over a year in front of a real crowd, because that's just unacceptable. Whereas like now it's like you could be wrestling fucking 2 months, if you get it right away. And that's
I've definitely seen like some of these companies that are associate like they're kind of running their own school, and so they'll put the kids out there, and it's
but it's not a
they
bad
don't
thing.
they don't need 10 minutes. That's
Right,
like
right. Well, of course. I
but
mean,
I mean
with
it's awesome.
anybody,
It's great to see them out there, and it's great to
yeah.
see them
But
doing it and making it, and like
yeah.
you know putting in
But don't
what they've
suppress
learned, but
them.
like but no,
Don't like
that's odd that you say that, because you'd think like and you know you're so good with the crowd, right? And the stuff that we've seen you do in New Fear City, and the stuff that I've seen you do, outside like MLW, even like the it's you're extremely talented, and it's but seriously though, it's we've been blessed to work with a lot of people that are not only good wrestlers, right? Like good with the physicality and all that stuff, but like, going back again, excellent storytellers. And that's what I think a lot of that WWE style gets lost, is because they're like, oh, that guy's really big, so he's awesome. And you're like, yeah, but the dude moves like he's,
yeah.
a semi truck, and then, not across the board, but like the storytelling should be the most important aspect of it. And obviously the size thing is a story that you can tell. Can the little guy overcome, David and Goliath, that kind of thing. Um,
Yeah.
and
But it's boring. Like
oh, it is. It's very boring.
the
Because we've all seen it.
the whole. I mean, the reason why I'm bringing up, me starting versus now is as a character, I I use that not as a storyline. Like I don't, because I personally think that the way things are now are better than they were. Like
It
I
sounds like it.
always use Jordan Oliver, because I go, Jordan Oliver came in, he is like one of the most respectful fucking people that I've met. But I
Really
also
nice
think he's
kid.
the most real, Jimmy Lloyd, one of the most real. He's one of my best friends, you know. Don't tell him I said that. And like
I don't
like
talk to him,
those
so
are
you're safe.
people that I wanna work with, because
Sure.
like, it doesn't feel like, it's hard. Jordan Oliver got an opportunity right away, and
Yes.
that was deserved. I don't know if I necessarily deserved it right away. I think I'm more
Well,
of a late
Jimmy did too.
bloomer. I think
Jimmy
I'm more
got
of a
pushed. Jimmy got pushed right out of the gate.
right.
You know, and
But he also made the right decisions. I was like insane. I kept doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Like, I wanted DJ to respect me and want to use me, and he never wanted to, even if the crowd was begging him to, or whatever. It didn't matter. And then it took Drew Gulak to really Kit, you need to fucking quit, that type of thing.
yeah, yeah.
But I was never allowed to be a heel, because it wasn't believable for me to be a heel, according to them, to DJ. I should be this face, until I was at a Dojo Wars, and we did one of these matches where you didn't know who you were wrestling, right?
Okay.
And it was against
Was that
Ryo.
like you had no idea till you got out to the ring?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're
It was
wrestling?
it was one of the it was like a training thing, but it was in
Okay.
front of a crowd,
Right,
and it
right.
was with Ryo, who was Bad Boy 2, right? For Joey's number 2 or whatever.
Right. Right.
And he got over and they booed me. And then I immediately, that was the first time I heard the crowd. Like, I took breaks in between because I had school
Right.
and I, real life because, like I wish I had rich parents, but I don't.
Nah, you and me both. You know.
Um, yeah, I'll drink to that.
Yeah. Let me re-pour this
Yeah.
delicious glass of the 19 Crimes. Are you familiar with
Oh my
19
God.
Crimes?
I have black box.
I almost bought that, but it was
Yeah.
$21 and this was 12. And I was like, I don't
I
need
just
a
knew this would
whole
last me like 2 or 3 days.
I was like, I don't need the
Um,
whole black box because,
um,
knowing our conversation, I'll drink the whole thing tonight. I still have to work
yeah.
tomorrow.
Um, same.
It's Veterans
Um,
Day, holiday, but I'm working. I'm
but
working with
what
dogs.
was we
I told you
talking
that,
about?
right? I'm working with dogs.
What?
I work with the American Kennel Club.
Oh, all right.
We'll go. I'll get into that later. But
All
so,
right, let's go. All right.
so tell me about so you. This is the first time you got booed, right?
Right. It was the first time I got booed in
What
front
was
of
that like?
30 people, right? And
What was that
otherwise I
like?
was getting nothing because I was just doing what I was told and I
Right.
just like didn't, read an audience, but I also was afraid that I wouldn't get booked again and things like that. And now I'm just like, well, I'm not getting paid for this and whatever. And then I boo and then I just started being a heel and and we're going through this thing and he was awesome to work with. He's definitely somebody that I still like. I appreciate him so much today, but
Yeah.
and then and then as I worked, I started thinking about like, who was kind of cheating when they were a face. Hogan, like
Sure.
he would do back rakes and I fucking
Oh yeah, no, that was a
out of
huge thing
that.
in the 80s when you look at that. It was so weird.
He did
Like
it
the 80s and the
nonstop. He
90s,
was a fucking heel.
the,
Like,
like the faces did all the heel moves.
yeah,
Like you said, the back rakes, the eye gouges, all of that
yeah.
stuff. And
I
you
noticed
look
that
back and you're
shit.
like,
I
wait,
always
wait a
noticed that
second.
shit, and I was like, you know what? There's no fucking thing. Like, why don't we just read the fucking crowd? And then from there, I was like, I'm a better heel than I am a face. And the reason, in the same year afterwards, I wrestled in front in CWF in North Carolina or whatever, and I was with me, Dan O'Hare, Schlack, and Riley Madison, and they gave me the mic, and then I said I'm going to change Mid Atlantic. I said I'm going to change CWF Mid Atlantic by the end of the night to CZW Mid Atlantic because we're all CZW guys, and
Right.
they fucking booed the shit out of me. I called them pig farmers and then things like that, and it just fucking worked. And then I was like, well, why don't I just read the crowd, learn about it? And then I was like, oh, we're in Brooklyn, like, to fast forward
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah. Yeah.
6 years is like, well, I'm not from here. I literally, I mean, I'm judging the crowd the way that I really am. I'm like, oh wow, these Brooklyn fucking hipsters. Like, oh yeah, like that girl with her leather jacket, who'd she kill? Nobody. She just
She's
has
so
pink
cool.
hair for no reason.
Yeah.
She just did it to do it, and I'm sure Instagram said that there was a meaning behind it, but there probably
All the cool
isn't.
kids are doing pink hair.
But it's like it's whatever, and then you just learn the thing, and the only thing you don't do is fuck up what words you're not allowed to say, or you just get with the times,
Right.
and
Of course. Yeah.
we're young, and we're young enough to not fuck up and go like, well, that's not the way that things used to be.
That's right.
I used to
I
be able
used
to
to be able to
say
say this
all the
word.
time, and you're like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah. Yeah.
you don't say it anymore. Like,
Yeah.
and that's it. Like, you don't say anymore out of respect, and
Polite
you don't.
society.
You whisper it to your friends
Right. Of
so
course.
that you whisper it to your friends so that they laugh, but you also whisper it because you're not supposed to say it, and that's the reason why you're saying it, not because of it's like the whole thing.
Oh, there's no animosity, but you're just doing it to.
But it's like I'm saying it because I'm not allowed to say it.
That's right.
I'm
Look at me. I'm
whispering.
so
I'm
cool.
whispering because anything sounds funny when you're whispering,
Dude,
right?
everything is better when
Like,
you whisper.
yeah, you're like zebra, and
That's right.
and
There we go. what did you say? And you're like, oh, but you need your friend to be like, what? Oh my God, I can't believe
But
this is that.
but anyway, that was I like being a heel.
Is it weird the
Because
first time you got booed?
huh?
Is it weird the first time you got booed?
Yeah, it weirded me out
Were
because
you
it
like,
was
did you
it
like
was
think like,
it didn't weird me out because I knew it, but when I was doing these job matches at CZW, I was getting booed when because they wanted me to die. And I'm like, Philly crowds want
oh,
because they're
they're
smart.
horrible.
They know that you're there to make somebody else look good.
Right.
So they want you to die, even though that person's a bad guy. You know what I mean? So like it's like, dude, this isn't 90s wrestling. It's like, why don't you let me go out? Like, I granted, I'm 18.
Right.
You can't just give me the mic. I have no idea. I'd fucking accidentally choke on it. I have no idea. Like now, you give me the mic and you tell me nothing, and you'd say, go out there and fucking I don't know, like say your ABCs, and I would be like, I'd go out there and I'd be like, A B C D line, like
Yeah.
whatever, and joke around and fuck around with it. But I would be like, I don't I don't care. Like,
Right.
I don't care. Like, you give me the mic, I can say anything I want. It's a live mic. If there's 100,000 people listening or 100, they're gonna laugh at the end of it. It's like my way of being stand up because I'm terrified of doing stand up. That's basically what it is. I think at one point in my life, I'm gonna do stand up. I'm gonna fuck up, and Shane Gillis or whatever is gonna listen to it. I'm gonna send it to him, and
But
motherfucker,
you got a lot of people in the New Fear City world that do stand up. Like
yeah,
a
Shane
lot of the
Gillis is
people
one of them.
that hang out
And
with us.
he went, and I'm like him seeing me wrestle, and I was like, that motherfucker follows me on, and I thought he went to my high school for like a
Yeah.
minute, and I was like, well, no, he doesn't. He saw me wrestle in Brooklyn, and that was it.
So going back to the video games, one of
Oh,
our
okay.
boys asked, like, what's your favorite wrestling video game? But not the
Um.
N64 game or the OG SmackDown PS2.
Oh, between those two.
No, no, not those two. What's your favorite
Oh.
game besides the
Oh,
two games
besides
that
the two, I was like,
besides those two that everybody would say would be their favorite wrestling
um.
games?
Shit. I liked. I mean, I had Sega Genesis growing up
Uh-huh.
more than anything. So
Did you have
I
that
mean, I
WWF
loved
game where like the dudes would like spin around and do all like the stupid moves and stuff?
WWF Raw.
Was that what it was?
Yeah, yeah, because they had these super moves or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, like Owen Hart would bounce like across each
Yeah.
turnbuckle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I love WWF Raw because I like doing the Royal Rumble in that game, and I like the grunginess of it or whatever, and the
Oh yeah.
opening theme like of that first Raw theme. Um, I love WWF Raw, but I also really like WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game.
I was gonna ask, did you ever play
Uh,
the stand up? Like the
yeah, oh, yeah.
big like stand up arcade game? Like in the
Yeah,
arcades?
I did. I
Yeah.
played it one fucking time at a bar my dad went to that fucking had it.
Dude, come up next time you got some time. So there's this brewery that we went to that's up near Peekskill.
And
And
they have one.
this
Is it
company,
Bret Hart giving an
yeah,
arcade system a fucking Russian leg sweep?
yeah, it's the whole thing.
Oh my,
It's everything you want. So this
oh my
company,
God.
they're
I'll be
called,
there
what are they
tomorrow.
called? They're called like Rivers Edge or something like that. Blanket on the name, but Captain Lawrence makes their beer. And so
Okay.
I found this place because during the pandemic, one of my buddies was up there like in the area with his wife. He's like, "Hey, I found a place that we can go to a bar and drink beer like a human being." And I was like,
Yeah, not
"What?"
dude, the only reason you went to a bar is so that you could socialize with random
Yeah,
people. But when you're blocking people off and you're only going to a bar with like your girlfriend, like you're like, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna kill her. Like the whole reason of a bar is so that we can like
it's
learn something
hanging
new
out.
about each other through
Exactly.
somebody else.
But this place was great because it like they were serving beer and it was not like you could sit outside, and that's why it was allowed to exist during the
Yeah.
pandemic. And so the next week, the girl that I was dating at the time, I was like, "Yo, we're going up the Peekskill because there's a bar where we can sit outside and drink beer."
Oh my God.
And it was everything. It was like, "Oh, I've missed this so much. This is incredible." And then that place has since grown, and now they have this like Chuck E. Cheesy kind of thing inside where they got all these arcade games and stuff,
Like a barcade.
like kind of like a barcade. Yeah, a lot more kids running around, but they had the WWE arcade game or WWF
Yeah.
arcade game, and I was like, "Well, here goes $10." And I just, Royal
But
Rumble, Royal Rumble.
to answer the question, like either that or Fire Pro Wrestling World.
Okay.
Um I mean, I played the ones that were on Sega Saturn that my cousins got, and they had the manual that could, you know, like
Hmm.
translate Japanese to, to know what they were doing. And they made me they created a wrestler for me when I was 6, and it was called, and they it was Gutterball Duke Bryant. I remember that to this fucking day. I was 6, and I
That should be
remember
your
we made
new
it.
New Fear City gimmick.
No, it isn't.
You should go. You should make that your New Fear
I
City.
looked like I looked like Psychosis because I
Yeah,
had a mask and everything
that's
with horns
awesome.
on it. I was like, my God. Um,
I never
but
played
anyway,
that.
yeah, it would
I
be
I, I
Fire
keep
Pro Wrestling World, which I think rules. And that was the first time I got tagged in something and they made me on Fire Pro Wrestling.
nice.
And I wrestled Nick Gage because
Okay,
Nick Gage was so Nick Gage is my favorite wrestler.
you've
Shawn
done that
Michaels
you've done that
is my favorite
invitational, right?
wrestler. Huh?
You've done the Nick Gage Invitational. Did you ever do
Yeah,
that?
yeah. I did it in 2021. I was actually advertised today 2 years ago because Instagram or Facebook reminded me. Um, maybe, I don't know. But I Nick Gage is my like, and I'm good friends with him.
Yeah,
I piss him off daily because I
sure.
text him when I know he's sleeping, and then I go, "You can get back to me when you're doing your morning walk," and things like that. Because he does his morning walk in Jersey. He's fucking weirdo, but but like he's somebody that I've connected with, and he, will message me like seeing how I'm doing, and I do the
Sure.
same with him, and it's a weird connection that we had because the first time that we ever really, I've known him since 2008 when I started. The motherfucker got arrested because he
Sure.
sucks at robbing. In
I heard there
2010.
are other things involved in that sucking
Yeah,
and
well,
robbing
one
thing,
was he didn't wear a fucking bandana, bitch. Like, what a dump!
which is
Like,
odd because like
fucking dumbass.
all he
Yeah,
does is wear
and
a
another
bandana
thing
now.
about
But
Nick Gage, he is a bitch, dude, and he's been one for years. All right, but he, he's actually been one of the closest that friends in
sure.
wrestling that I've had. That I trust him
I've only heard good things.
every
Like,
time I've had anything in Atlantic City. Um, um where he brought his money that he robbed, and I'm guessing he fucking lost it because he has no idea how to fucking gamble, but and which is why he probably turned himself in. All right. Um no. Honestly, he's the reason, like why I still keep doing it. Like, I've worked out with him. I tried
sure.
getting him to keep going to the gym when he was being like me now, which is like a little lax.
Yeah.
And and him and I were going, and he's somebody that I could talk to all the time, and that is like he's was like when I was a fan, became one of my favorite wrestlers because he was the most fucking real
Oh, he
human
was
being on the
absolutely.
planet.
Yep.
And when I got to wrestle him for the first time, I was so fucking nervous. And I was like, I feel like I'm wrestling like The Rock right now, Jesus Christ, I said that. But like, I feel like I'm wrestling The Rock,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and and I'm sure that, and most of our conversation, he goes, "Yeah, you're fucking lucky to have me." You know, like that type of conversation.
Yeah, yeah,
Every time that it's GCW, even if I'm not on it, like I'm like, "Hey man, like, can I stay at your hotel? I just want to come by. I haven't seen you guys, whatever." And he's
yeah.
like, "Yeah, it's always room for you," that type of thing. He's one of the best guys, if not the the people I can't say right now.
Sure.
I'll say it in a couple of years. That that I value more than anybody.
So Nick and I have a picture with him from the old ICW days, back when they used to run that gym in Queens. I don't know if you ever went to any of those shows. It was
Oh yeah,
what's the name of that place?
Danny's thing, right?
Yep, Danny's thing. So it
Um,
used to be at this.
I
It used to be at this gym.
I was there.
Uh, I
He
used to
wrestled
go.
there one
So
time,
I
and he
used
made
to
me
go to that
fucking
gym.
wait.
Like I lived when I lived in Astoria. The second place I lived was like 5 blocks from that gym, and I was like, "Oh, that gym's super cheap. Let me go there." So I did. Like that's where I worked out. And then all of a sudden they started like running wrestling shows there, and I was like, "Okay, cool." And then Nicholas and I have a picture with Nick Gage from that
Did,
place.
did he wrestle Rick Steiner?
I don't know if that was the Steiner match that we had. It might have been the Steiner
That was
match.
the show that I was there, and I picked up Tarzan Boy and somebody else, doesn't matter. And I picked him up, and then I had no idea that was
But that was Luke
Rick
Perry's kid.
Perry's. Yeah, no idea. And I was
Shit.
like I knew he came from LA, and I just
Yeah.
knew, like, I left work at the time, got the opportunity, whatever. I'm like, this is a guy that I never worked for. Danny doesn't like me for whatever reason. I
Hell,
don't know why. He might just, he doesn't see value in Ken Osborne, and I don't blame him. But
I blame him.
well, that's you. But I
I'm biased, but
but that was the one show that I took. That I It was like an emergency thing. They didn't have a ride. I got out of work, and then I picked them up, went to New York, and then I did like a 6-man or whatever,
right.
uh, and I didn't get paid, but I did take a picture with Rick Steiner. Yeah,
Scott Steiner.
Scott
Scott
Steiner is,
Steiner.
Jesus
Yep.
Christ. Scott Steiner is fucking the
The
head
chainmail?
gimmick.
You got the
Yeah,
chainmail?
I took a picture of it while he
Oh
was in the
shit! I got
mat
to
with
You
Gage.
got to show me
Took the
that.
picture, and I was like, "Fuck him, who cares?" Like, I did that.
So we have a picture, like he was, signing autographs and selling shit or whatever. And so Nick took a picture, and then he took a second picture. And the second picture, Scott Steiner looked right at him. And I don't know if he noticed that he was taking a picture or if he was just looking over, but it literally looked like he was looking dead center down the lens, being like, "Motherfucker, you didn't pay for this picture." And we're like, "That's the creepiest thing we've ever
It's like,
seen."
what, dude? What are you gonna do? You're gonna walk over? Like, dude, you're done. Like, listen, we already know you can't fucking hang anymore. You know,
It was
like
wild
it's
though.
so.
That
I
was
was
that was
at.
such a cool
I
like
mean,
you're
I had my first show uh in Vegas. Uh, when the hell was it? Earlier this year in February or whatever.
that's the
And
first
then
time
I had the
you had a show
next
in
day at
Vegas?
XPW. And I was at
Really?
XPW X or VXS in Vegas, and then the next night at XPW in LA. And I was um I oh my god, what did I do? So after my match, my best friend in real life, it was my real name and all that. He comes in and he goes, "Did I miss your match?" And I go, "Yeah." But he came from San Diego to see me,
Oh wow.
and then we went and we gambled. We went to the Bellagio, which I've never been. I've never been
Oh,
to Vegas or any of
dude, I
that.
had a story about the
So
Bellagio.
and whatever, we had a good time. but he came in and he's like, "Is that Sabu?" And I go, "Yeah, you want a picture with him, Sabu? Hey, like, come here." And then, like, know him, and
Yeah,
and and then all I did was find myself trying to entertain my friend by fucking with him about being really high. And
sounds
I
like
was
that.
like, I'm like, this is gonna haunt me one day. It's probably gonna haunt me because I'm saying it on my podcast, but he was just, he was just chill or whatever, and we took like a picture or whatever. But
I've only been to Vegas once, and it was when I was with the NHL. And so Wayne Gretzky does a fantasy hockey camp, or at least he did. I think he's still doing it, but he did a fantasy hockey camp in Vegas every year. And people would pay to like go out and, they would do like, they would divide everybody into teams. They would do these like little mini tournaments and stuff like that. And they would have a lot of like old school NHL guys come out, like Curtis Joseph, the goaltender, came out and, was like skating with them and all this stuff. And so I got to mic up Wayne Gretzky during that time. Yeah, dude, it was
it's the greatest hockey player of all time.
uh, and like I just went into like total work mode, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna run this up here. This is how I'm gonna do the mic. And my buddy's like, he's like trying to take a picture. He's like, got a couple, and he's like, wait, you're done? And I was like, oh yeah, sorry, like because I just went into like I'm just professional mode, right? But they the like hotel for the tournament or for the camp was the Bellagio. So I
Okay,
got put up in the Bellagio, for free, because of work.
right, yeah,
And so like I go into my
you
room,
earned it.
and there's a six pack sitting there. And I like open up the card and it's like, thanks for coming and shooting and all you do, you know, Wayne and Janet and the Gretzky's.
What?
Yeah.
Like, please tell me you still have it.
Oh yeah, I do. I do.
Oh my
So
god.
so this gets even better, right? So aside from miking up Wayne Gretzky, I still got that picture.
The
We
appreciation from this
we were doing like,
motherfucker.
we were doing the whole thing, like we shot
Jordan.
the whole week or whatever. And so one of the nights we had a party, and the room that we had the party in was, so like the Bellagio is the fountains, right? Like that's their big.
Yeah, yeah, that was awesome.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so we were in the room, the party room that literally is on the other side of the fountains. So we were watching like looking out at the fountains doing their thing from the backside, like from the hotel side, while we were smoking hand rolled cigars that they had people come in to provide.
Jesus Christ,
Dude, it was
man.
insane. And
That's
so
gonna one up every fucking thing I've ever done in my life.
I've been fortunate in my travels, but
I love it.
the greatest thing though was the last night party, right? Like the ending night party. My buddy and I were like hanging out, and like Wayne came over and was talking to us, and he was like, "Hey, you guys having a good time?" Like, because we were working for the NHL, so he knew that we were there as part of the league, and he was like just super nice to us the whole time. Fantastic host, amazing. And he's like, "Oh, you guys doing great?" Like, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's awesome." And then Bruce Bennett, who is like one of the greatest, uh, I think he works for AP, like one of the greatest photographers of all time, right? Like he shot like all of like the NHL, like final, like every awesome like sports photography, right? And he was there like taking pictures for the thing, and I'm not sure how they got, like if they just like invited him or what the deal was, but he happened to like be wandering by at the same time. He's like, "Hey, do you guys want me to take a picture of you?" We're like, okay. So I have this picture with my buddy and Wayne Gretzky shot by Bruce Bennett, who is like one of the all-time greatest sports photographers
The Associated
ever,
Press, like,
like ever. It's
that's
just
fucking great. Like, I
that's just
need this. I
like
need
that's
this
just another
picture.
one of those like weird things that like has happened in my life that I look back on. I'm like, holy shit! Like this was a thing that happened. Like it's wild.
Dude, it all
I've
around.
been so fortunate, so blessed.
It,
Like
it all circles around to that, like, like how I was saying earlier, uh, like never not take that picture, like
right.
never not appreciate the situation that you're in, like we're all gonna forget shit. Like, man, a year ago, like there's a picture with me and Steve from Wrestling Sucks, and it
Referee
was me
Steve
in this weird shirt that I was wearing from the bartender. Oh my god, I hope he never listens. Forgot his name. The one bartender from the one that he kept open for us at the end of the night. That
from
was when you were telling me
Kingsland.
about Metallica.
Was it Kenny?
Yes, long hair, right?
No,
Oh
no,
no,
Kenny's bald, I
no,
think.
no, no, long black hair,
Tattoos, long black hair.
darker gentleman. He was the the bartender. Um,
Is it like you've got like the main bartenders that we've worked with. It's like Kenny.
no, 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 not at where we worked. After.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter.
Anyway,
Regardless, we'll figure it out. I'm drawing a blank on the name, but I don't know. I swear I
which
have
place after? Because we've definitely we've
no. We
turned
have
out a
these.
few.
It's where you told me that you worked with Metallica,
Yeah.
but I have one question for those that are actually like still listening at this point.
Yeah, we
Because
we put in some good
we have
time,
some good
man.
time. We have some good time, but I have one question. Doesn't mean that we're done. We're not done talking.
Yeah.
Um, I want to know, like, what is your biggest accomplishment in all of your cinematography? If you want to, if it can be multiple things, the things that you want to highlight, and then
Wow.
after that, I want to talk about what's next. Okay.
So, boy,
And these are also, mind you, like this is a podcast, but
yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna cut part of it so that they hear the things that are new
yeah. No, I'll
in
provide you with all of the videos and stuff and
oh, I
everything.
know. I might
Yeah.
as well send you my fucking
You
podcast
just want me to edit this
if
whole
you
thing?
can edit it for me.
I
Cause
can do that.
like I would hire you as an editor, but you do it so well for free that I'm okay with. Like, and I don't have any money,
I
so
work for beers. That's the thing. Is it even at this point I work for beers. Um,
yeah, yeah,
my
yeah.
greatest accomplishment. That's tough, man. One of
Moving
the
the
highlights.
NHL,
I'll hit some highlights.
Metallica,
So, um,
me.
one of the big highlights was with the teaching, right? With the New York Film Academy was so I was an assistant editor on a Netflix documentary about Tony Bennett, and so
That's fucking hilarious.
it was the one that was shot when he did the first duets record and had like that big Lady Gaga stuff. It was also when Amy Winehouse died, so we actually have him on camera getting the call that Amy Winehouse died, which was wild.
So you were filming this in 2007, 2008.
Yeah, yeah, it was like 2008 ish or
How old are
whatever.
you again?
I'm 41.
You
I know.
you've been doing this
I've been
for a
doing this
long
for like
time.
20 over 20 years now.
My old boss is really good friends with Tony Bennett.
That's so funny. Yeah, I met him. It was like the movie premiered at Tribeca, and
Okay.
then Netflix. It was like one of the first Netflix movies that they had like way back when. But so I
I'm
was
never
on
buying you a
that.
drink again, man. You need to buy me drinks all the time.
I get nothing from any of that stuff though.
Yeah, whatever.
No cool.
Bullshit.
But
I've heard that before.
I was working on that, and then right around the time it was finishing up, I got a call again from the New York Film Academy, who I'd been working with since like 2005 when I first moved to New York. And they said, hey, we need an editor, we like an editing teacher in Florence, Italy. And I was like, okay. And they're like, so it's going to be from, it's 2011, I guess. and it was basically going to be from like the middle to end of August through like October. I was like, okay. So like I went in, like did pitched them my class and whatever. Like, cool, we're gonna hire you. So they flew me over to Italy.
You're 24,
Yeah, no, I was a little older than that.
25.
I was like 26 something, 27 something. I don't
Okay.
know.
Oh yeah, Jesus.
So they fly me to Italy. They pay for my housing. They pay for my flight, and they pay me like a weekly like salary while I'm there. Only thing I had to pay for was like food and drink. And I was there
What?
for almost 3 months
3
teaching
months? All you had to pay for was what?
food and drink. And so like I was like a part of like I would walk down the streets and like all the vendors would know me. Like I would go to the bars and
Yeah, you made friends.
the bartenders would be trying to teach me Italian while I was there. Like it was amazing. It was such a great time. Um, I missed
You were
Hurricane
in
Sandy.
France, they would be like, "Go fuck yourself."
True. Dude, I missed Hurricane Sandy because I was in Italy.
Nice, sweet
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like I knew everything was cool because I got like an email from my landlord the next day, and he's like, "Hey, everything's cool. We still have power. We didn't get flooded." And I was like,
Like, oh man, you're like, oh, thank
also
God.
thank God, yeah. But no, it was crazy. But that was definitely a highlight. Just an incredible time, right? Like, and I went, all over Italy in my spare time, and just hung out in Florence and did all the things.
What's
Uh,
the name of the doc that was about Tony Bennett?
it was
The fact that you don't remember it makes me want to fucking punch you in the throat.
that was dude, that was 12 years ago.
I don't give a shit. Like I remember, like, dude, the fact that like I'm over here going, dude, I remember when I met Mark Summers and it was 2011.
Oh, I
And
remember. I remember meeting
and
Tony
that was
Bennett.
crazy, and like you're just like, dude, I was making a documentary about Tony Bennett. Yeah, and then the year before that, I was doing this Wayne Gretzky gimmick, and then oh yeah, by the way, did I mention that I was doing like Metallica
No, it was
and
hold
then
on,
to
no,
top
no,
it all off, I'm doing New Fear City with Casanova
it
Valentine.
was called the Zen of Bennett. It was called the
Your
Zen of.
career just went way up,
It went
especially at
way
that
up and then
time.
just crashed. Just no,
You
no.
said that, not me.
It was called the Zen of Bennett. And what was different about that thing, about
Zena
that,
Bennett.
yep, Zen of Bennett. And what was different about that was there was no there were we had I think we had a couple at the end, like sit down interviews, but mostly what happened was they like during that duets record recording, they would mic Tony up every morning when he would get
Oh
in,
God.
and then he would just be, and then we cut the entire story from just moments. So there weren't a lot of actual like normal documentary sit down interviews, things like that to get
Right.
the story. Like it was built, and the editor on it had worked, or she still might has worked with the Coen brothers on a number of films.
Okay. Okay.
And so I was an assistant editor on that, basically just helping them get that thing out the door, um, getting that thing all wrapped up. But no, that was a crazy time, and then that led into, I came back, and then basically started the NHL right after that, which was also
Man, I mean,
awesome.
I literally started with the NHL, and all this shit happened
Oh, there's a
before.
bunch of stuff before that.
So the biggest highlight, or I mean the biggest accomplishment
Biggest
of all
accomplishment.
these things.
Honestly, it's
You don't have one.
no, no. It's getting New Fear City to where it is.
Oh God, that's such.
And here's why. Here's why.
You
Because
you know
no, no,
your audience because you know who you're talking
no,
to,
no. Here's
and
here's
that's
why. I'll
great.
tell you
You
why. I'll
fucking
tell you why.
all-right bitch. Listen, your beard sucks,
It's
and
true.
at
It's
the end
horrible.
of the day, your teeth are straight, but they're not about to be the next time I see you. I
That's
swear to
fine. We'll
God,
we'll
I'll rip
fight and
that
we'll put it on
fucking
we'll put it
nose
on
thing out of
camera.
your
It'll be
fucking.
awesome. But here's why. Because this is one of the few things that everything about it is me in that
Yeah.
sense, right? Like all of the visual stuff, like Nicholas
100% is you.
Nicholas, Nicholas does a lot as well, but a lot of these things, like a lot of the look of New Fear City is is things that I've pitched and helped push through. So,
Yeah.
using the GoPros because we have to get them, pretty close to the action. And also it's got that fisheye kind of lens. And a big thing with New Fear City to me is that skateboarding video look from the 90s.
I think so as well.
And so that's, I was like, how can we get that look? What can we use? Like, what kind of cameras can we use? Like, what can we do to get that look and make it feel like that kind of thing? And that's one of those things. So, it's a group effort, but a lot of this New Fear City production look is just
It's some of
stuff
your
that,
it's your proudest work.
yeah, it really is because
Love it,
it's,
man. I,
we're telling stories, you know, obviously we've got we've got Cass, we've got everybody, we're all telling stories,
that's the
but
best
the
way you
look
put
of
it.
it is just,
Not that you got me. I mean that you're telling stories.
yeah,
I think is it's the reason why I keep doing it. We're
that's the reason
telling
I got into
stories.
this business. It's the reason I started doing video production, right? My favorite movie ever is Night of the Living Dead. And I remember being a kid and being in, you know, my family's cabin in Leeper, Pennsylvania, which is like near Clarion, Pennsylvania. So
Clarion is how fucking far is that from me?
it's pretty far.
Not
It's
that far.
no, it's definitely on the western side of the state,
Yeah, like closer to Penn State.
past Penn State.
Oh yeah, it's far.
You're going, yeah, yeah. And like we had a couple of like we had a couple of places there. One of them was an A-frame, like an A-frame cabin, and they had like this little rollout TV cart, right, with a black and white TV. And I remember watching Night of the Living Dead on it, and I remember watching Attack of the Killer Tomatoes on it, and I was like 10 years old. And for the longest time, I thought Attack of the Killer Tomatoes was in black and white because that was how I watched it, on that black and white TV. Turns out it's in color. Still one of my favorite movies, but you know, but
The
Night
fact
of
that
the
you
Living
watch it
Dead,
in black and white because that's the TV.
that's the TV.
That that fucking rules.
That was amazing. And
It's
those
like
are
us
two.
listening to like us watching a VHS. Fuck, I mean for some people us watching a DVD and then selecting it and then doing it and like oh shit the extra features.
Yeah,
The fact that that's a thing that we have to do is a lot.
it's crazy. It's crazy. But that's
Listen,
like
listen.
that stuff. Like I from that age, I watched that and it was just like it blew my mind, and I was like, I need to do this for a living.
This is your fucking
Like I
calling.
need like I need to tell stories. I don't care what they are and how I tell them, but like this is what I have to do. And coincidentally, here we are telling stories with blood and
Yeah.
gore and
But
everything
dude, I
else.
mean,
So
you're editing stories the way that you want them,
right.
and people are accepting it. Like you're
Not
like,
only not
all right,
only are they
let's say
accepting
it
it,
this way. Like if I tell you this is how I want to interpret this situation, and then you go, yeah, I can make it happen.
yeah.
And then at the same time, I say this is what I want, and then you put your twist on it and you show it to me, and I go, that's even better. That's somebody I would want to work with. Metallica,
Well, that's the cool
your
thing
edit.
about filmmaking, right? And even what we do, right? Like it's collaborative, right? So you and
But
me get
some
together.
people are fucking messed up.
Oh, for sure. But the end of the day, it's a collaborative art form, right? And so you get with me and you go, hey, I got this thing, and here's kind of what I'm looking for. And then I look at it and I go, oh, that's awesome. but here's what I'm thinking with it. And then we come together and we make something that's even better. And that's what all this is about.
Not even that.
Again,
It's that like, well, this is what I'm doing.
well, also
And and at the end of the day, it's like, well, I mean, for me,
for you.
like this is like I'm like a Kardashian. Like for me, my favorite color is blue, like
No,
whatever.
listen, I'll use blue in the next promo. Let's go all blue.
But ultimately, it's you. Like
Yeah.
this is my vision. This is what I thought. If it like, and this is how I just give them. Like, this is what I thought. If I wanted to be exactly what I want, right? I'm
Yes.
either the one that owns the fucking company, or I'm the one that's fucking editing it.
Sure.
Otherwise, I'm gonna go, hey, this is my vision. Whatever you think of it, like now it's yours, and then you get my idea. You either agree, disagree, and then you come up with. If it's better, I'm gonna tell people I came up with it. If it sucks, I'm gonna be like, I didn't fucking do
No,
it.
it's all
You
me.
know what I
No,
mean?
I get
Like,
it. I get it.
huh?
That's how it works.
Yeah.
As the editor, you're the unsung,
At the end of
pseudo
the day,
hero.
everything comes full circle. If something sucks, it sucks. And if something is great, it's great. And then we can all, you know, be on top of it. But I just want to say, man, at the end of the day, man, holy shit.
I
I
know,
love
right?
you being back on this. I love starting this podcast again, and I love starting with you.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. But
Yeah, man.
I gotta ask you, right?
Oh God.
December 1st, December 1st at the Brooklyn Meadows, New Fear City presents Theater of Cruelty.
Yeah.
You have a tag match with Cruel versus Dominic De Niro and Casanova Valentine. Talking about this. Are you ready for it?
Yeah, I'm 100% ready for it. Is that the question? Am I ready? Yeah, I'm 100% ready. I want Dominic De Niro to realize you just you're not on this level yet. That's the one. So wear all the tracksuits in the world. All right. Cass and I have had the longest history I've ever had with anybody in my life.
You've had the longest history of New Fear City almost. I mean,
Yeah.
you've been
If
you've
not,
been
like,
you've been in New Fear City so many times, and the
right.
crowd hates you, and it's awesome because
Uh,
you're fucking
and
horrible.
and the thing is I love it more, and it drives me. It drives me to come up with every fucking reason why I'm going to fucking destroy somebody like Dominic De Niro and Casanova Valentine, who I can't even say without my teeth being clenched. But like right now, for the first time in my life, in 2023 and every year before that, have had somebody behind me like
Hmm.
cruel, who literally defines everything that I want. I want, as in, I want Cass Casanova Valentine to be fucking destroyed. So, unfortunately for you,
Hey, I'm just filming it.
yeah, you're just filming it, but
Listen,
you own New Fear City. Is that it's unfortunate for you that you're going to lose one of the creators of New Fear City, because I swear to fucking Christ that with Cruel, I will not have to deal with a Casanova Valentine anymore.
But
And
it sounds like
as for Circle 6, like, just wait.
it sounds like you're gonna be running New Fear City. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
Is that what you're implying? You're gonna take out Casanova Valentine.
I'll let you be the judge of that. All
All
right.
right.
I'll let you be the judge
All
of
right.
that when everything fucking changes for you. All right.
December 1st. It's gonna be a big night.
Well, it's a big night for you.
Sounds like it's gonna be a big night for you too.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being on my fucking podcast. All right.
Hey, thanks for having me.